Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Pat, my friend, how are you this week?
I'm great. I'm so stoked we have a guest so I don't have to do any banter.
You say that, but we're going to have guests for the next few weeks, so you better
We're going to have banter and guests.
Oh, a little bit of banter. You got
to
set the tone.
Look at that. We nailed it. It's getting acknowledged. Push the right buttons in the right order and everything.
All you this week. I just returned about an hour ago from visiting my older son at his college tournament, baseball tournament in Tucson, and I am a little frazzled. So Pat kind of really took care of a lot this week. So thank you. I appreciate it.
So there'll be a lot of misogyny in the show today.
Yeah, excellent. That's what I was hoping for.
We're killing it.
Fill in those gaps for sure, always.
I got a joke for that, but it's too much. We have a candidate. We're not going there.
Yeah. We're going to try and keep at least the first part of the show a little bit more PG rated, so that she can't blame us when they bring out the guns, because she's already got plenty of people who are coming for her. Before we do bring on our guest, friend of the show, Jen Perelman, we want to thank our members. You guys are amazing. We love and adore you. You are helping us add a second show. So thank you. You guys are awesome. On that note, go ahead.
Yeah, our first new show will be next Sunday, right?
Like in 4 days?
Not in 4 days.
Okay, the following one.
It's the following week, right?
The following one, the 31st, March 31st. But program note, next week, instead of our normal Wednesday show, unless you want to do two next week, we're doing a Tuesday show because we are having Dr. Jill Stein on Tuesday. So we will do our normal time slot, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, but it will be Tuesday. We'll put out notifications and
we're going to spam the crap out of it. This is our big moment here. Jill Stein.
On that note, please make sure to like and subscribe.
Hey, and we just had the Socialist Equality Party folks. We got to get Biden on. We should reach out to the Biden administration.
That would be super fun. We would all just watch him stare off into space like the other brother.
Can you imagine?
Smash that notification bell. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. But clearly, we are the campaign stop for all the best candidates. So that is exciting. Yeah. Like, subscribe, smash the notification bell, because we will have a couple of, especially as, primaries are heating up and then the general election, there might be some times that we just go on, not on our regular schedule. So please do. I know you love it. Smash the notification bell.
Smash it.
And anything else to say before we get going?
I think we covered it. Since we got a guest,
we're get to her video, right?
Yeah, let's show her video. She hasn't officially released. I mean, she just started 2 weeks ago, and is now just getting rolling. She's been here before, but I think the video will be a good intro for Jen.
Awesome.
Me the better part of the past 15 years to deprogram myself, and now I find myself enraged. So it's all I can do to hold myself together every single night when I see what's going on behalf of my people, who, by the way, now hate me. I am going to be public enemy number one to them for sure. AIPAC is going to come at me with everything they've got, and I told them to bring it, because I am done with those things.
Yes.
So, let's say I win. Let's say I get to Congress. They're not going to want to play with me. Okay? Nobody's going to say, oh, let's do what you want. But I will be the loudest, most obnoxious voice they have ever heard fighting for you. So anything that you guys can do to support me, I will be there for you. I will be your voice. I will fight for you.
Yes.
And I am just not having it with my people anymore. To be clear that this is not a Jewish thing. And I know that you all know that Jews are not inherently with this. Okay? We were brainwashed from a very, very young age, and most people cannot get out of it, which isn't an excuse, but it's not part of our religion. My great-grandmother would be mortified if they knew what they were lied to about. Yes. And I just don't think people understand that. So I have rage for them. I have rage for you. So whatever I can do, I'm so grateful for Amna for inviting me. Where'd she go? And I want to offer my condolences to all of you for what you have been going through, what we've all been going through, but no one as hard as you guys. And Anna has my number. I am available to you.
What district you are?
I am 25, like literally on the other side of the street. So it's parts of Plantation, and from Weston to Hallandale Beach, it's pretty much a rectangle if you are in there.
So to make sure everybody in that neighborhood will vote for you.
Yeah, and online and help and spread the word and all that stuff, because she's not going down easily.
Do you have a flyer with you we can support? Yes, please. Yes. Give it to me so we can give it to all the schools we have. So
this is my business partner, Peter Hager. He handles my He and I ran in 20. Again, we did it against Debbie in 20. We got close to 30% in a pandemic without even knowing what we were doing. Now we have a team, now we have money, and now we know what we're doing.
Yes.
So, and I will spend the next 5 months being the loudest bitch you people have ever heard.
That is amazing. So without further ado, let's bring on Ms. Jen Perelman for Congress. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's good to see you both.
It's so great to see you. Okay, whom were you speaking to there?
Okay, so that in particular, it might have been the first or the second night of Ramadan. I don't know. It was an iftar, but it was also a Palestinian fundraiser. And they had this like food contest, kind of like a chili cook-off, but with some dish I'll never be able to pronounce. Right. So they had this cook-off, and it was a fundraiser for people in Palestine. Every single person that was there that was Palestinian has family that was killed in Gaza. And so I felt just so honored that they invited me to even come to that. And they're just so grateful that anyone even cared. It's so pathetic to me that people have been neglected for so long, that the slightest bit of just, wanting to help, it's like, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is just enraging all the way around. But so that was a fundraiser sometime around like the first couple of days of Ramadan. And now I've been to like another 4 additional iftar dinners. And it's not going to bode well for me at the end of the month, because they're all fasting during the day. Fasting during the day. I'm not fasting during the day.
I am a Jew who does not fast even on Yom Kippur. I have to be honest.
I had my girlfriends used to keep snack bars in their purse because I get cranky. Can you imagine like a day of fasting? No.
Yeah.
So
well, the Muslims are amazing. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what is the area that you represent that you're fighting against? You're challenging Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Okay. So our district is like, we're part of like this. If you were to look at like where Fort Lauderdale is, that would be like the northernmost, eastmost corner. And then we're the south part of Broward in like a rectangle across. Like, so we have Weston across the Hallandale Beach and down to Miramar and part of Plantation. So it's pretty much a decent sized rectangle. I mean, it's still somewhat gerrymandered,
right?
But nowhere near. Our new district lines are much more favorable to us as grassroots than they were to her, which is another part of the inspiration for doing it now like this. Yeah.
Is it a solid Democratic district?
Yes. We're a +12 blue. And honestly, it even feels like more than that. I mean, I don't know. We're pretty solid. So really the only race that matters here is the primary, which is why she's been able to sit there for that long. Because you 14% voter turnout in a primary. How few people does it take?
Yeah.
So that's why people are like, how does she sit there when she's so unpopular? Well, we have closed primaries, which half the people that are registered as NPA don't even know, because most people don't even know there are primaries, so that's a big part of it. So it isn't that she's so popular. It's just that within that niche of people that are primary voters.
Yeah.
That's why. So, yeah.
Okay. So I always think, New York, Hollywood, and like Miami-Dade area feel like the my mom hates when I say this, the Jewiest areas of the country.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you, as an anti-Zionist Jew who has been very vocal about it, which I love, what is the response from your community? How is that going down there?
You know what? It's really interesting because it's a mix, but I will say something that predominantly down here, the majority of like very Zionist people are registered Republican. So like what I was just saying before in terms of that this is a primary battle. So just that is one group that you have to take off. That's not even in our world. So then you have to say, okay, well, yeah, there's going to be people that are going to vote on this issue. No doubt they're going to be with Debbie, AIPAC darling, all the way. I believe for the most part, those were already her people anyway. I don't think there's that many people that you would say were on the fence that would be it. Maybe a few.
Right.
And then you have to say, okay, and then what other population did we gain? Because we lost all of Miami-Dade County is no longer part of our district. She lost the most Jewish part of our district.
Oh, really?
So our new district lost Miami-Dade County, and now we have Miramar, which is predominantly not just working class, but predominantly Latino and Haitian and other Islander.
Okay.
So
like you're going to be probably the only pro-Palestine candidate, either side, right? Or
I don't know of any others, and certainly not Jews, and that is one of the reasons.
So I'm thinking you're going to pick up probably a lot of young support, maybe even some Republicans who are pro-Palestine. I mean, if you're a single issue voter, that's a pretty strong one.
I think it'll definitely, I agree. It'll pull some people that are NPAs and Republicans for sure in the general. Right. But as far as like Democrats in the primary, I really think that her people are those people and my people are my people.
Yeah.
Right.
And the people that we have to get out to get, like in particular, people that don't always go out and vote. And most of those people are our people. Right. Like what we're talking, when we had, I don't know if you're familiar with Aventura. Are you familiar with Aventura area?
I'm not.
Okay. So was a part of our district that it's all condos and all gated and you cannot canvass the entire city. There's no, like, so if you're grassroots, you're not reaching those people, whereas she's flooding it with mailers and TV ads and all of that. Right. So we lost that. And now what we gained is like all canvassable and all blue collar.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
And so, and I hate like labeling demographics like this, but it's numbers, guys, I mean, it is what it is.
It's data, whatever. Yeah.
It's data. So I think strategically there's certain things that aligned that made it okay. But the Israel issue is going to be definitely a thing. Yeah. But I would now suggest that there is a very large Muslim community that has been reaching out to me, and they're like, I am now in so many groups and WhatsApps. I can't tell you, like, that's wonderful. So does that balance it? I think way more so, actually.
Yeah.
Given that, so it's going to be very interesting.
I'm shocked that she allowed the gerrymandering or that shift.
I think, and look, I've heard this over the past like 10 years since the last redistricting, that she is not necessarily in with the people in Tallahassee like she used to be when it was closer to when she had served in Tallahassee. And I think that over the amount of time, because there was a lot of years when whoever was there was just whoever she knew, Republican, Democrat, didn't matter.
Right.
And I really think that that was another sign where clearly that she's not as powerful as she used to be, that happened. So there's been a lot of signs like that are just leading to, what could be a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so my question, do you think, like on the fundraising side, it's probably too early to have a good grasp of it, but do you think the squad and all the disappointment that nationally progressives have had is going to harm you? Because they were throwing money at any progressive candidate, 4 years ago. And then people online have been just so disappointed that I think it's going to be harder for you to get money this time around.
Yeah. And I'm getting more money than I got last time. So
really?
This is, oh my God. Last time it was like a regular roller coaster where it's like, this time we're like on hyper coaster, like our fundraiser, like it's crazy. I got some 84-year-old Jewish man sent me an email to my personal email yesterday and pledged $10,000, which he doesn't even know that he can't even give that much money. But but the point is, like, that would have never happened 4 years ago. Now, the Palestine situation is definitely fueling that for a lot of people. Again, part of what is a perfect storm. But there's a lot of other things that are going to be in play that I think will make this a lot more competitive than anybody would think. Right. But and also remember, she's very disliked. You can't forget how disliked she is.
Even down there, even in her,
even down here. But I mean, in terms of national and fundraising, when we're talking about fundraising, she's people dislike her all over. I got a check for $50 from Wyoming because I was trash talking Wyoming because they were the only state I didn't get money from last time. So then my husband comes home from the PO box and he's like, you got something from Wyoming? And it was sure enough $50 as a gift from Wyoming. So I can't even call out Wyoming anymore.
That's awesome.
I like the idea of negging your donations. Just
Well, I'm just saying, out of 2020, I got money from every single state except Wyoming, and I just always found that very interesting.
Yeah.
And they've only given you $50, which I'm frankly disappointed in.
I'm not at all. I just tell you. Yeah, no, I love the more donors is better than the more money. Right. And I know my finance director will probably kill me, but like that's the truth. Because
she'll get one big check from AIPAC or whatever supporting her, right? And then but like that's not actual support of people.
No. And more importantly, all that does is work this campaign. When you get people that are following you and are inspired by you and feel like what you're doing is righteous, you're building a movement. Yeah. So, but if you're just worrying about the amount of donations that you get, you're not building coalition, you're building your campaign and maybe you win, but then how much actual power do you have behind you if you don't have an army?
Right.
So you need the most people, not the most money. And so and we do need money too. Okay. So we need money too. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, okay. Why don't you tell us about your anti-Zionist transformation, and then also tell us about your overall platform.
Okay. So I was raised Zionist Jewish, North Miami Beach, Florida. And I mean, we were just very lied to, very brainwashed, very propagandized. We were taught Arabs were lesser. We were taught that they hated us. We were taught and I'm not even talking by my parents. My parents in particular never said that to me. It was never, my parents in particular are kind of atheists, but I grew up in a very Jewish community. My grandparents, my great grandparents, and I was always around it. Right. And that was what JCC, anything having to do with any sort of bar and bat mitzvahs. I went every weekend. It was just our life. Yeah. And it took me the last 15 years or so to just slowly start deprogramming. And it really got to me when I started hearing about all the anti-BDS legislation and that, okay, so now you're infringing on my constitutional rights here. Right. And why would you be doing that if you weren't so afraid of something kind of all falling apart, the facade? So then I just started digging. It just, a house of cards, you know what I mean? Like a house of cards. So now I can't unsee it. And now I've spent the past, I want to say 3 years, really researching, really learning. I mean, not dissertation level learning, but I've read so much. Yeah. And just to feel I feel very strong and comfortable in my position. I feel very comfortable with it. Yeah. I sleep fine at night. I've lost friends. I'm sure I have family that won't talk to me, whatever. Right. That's unfortunate. But yeah, it is what it is. So I mean, and I almost don't like the term anti-Zionist. I almost like the term non-Zionist. Right. I don't want to sound so inflammatory. I just believe
pro-Palestine or whatever. Yeah.
Well, definitely.
Zionism means something different to them. So
it's just And I just feel like it almost it gives credence to it. I heard somebody saying this, if you say you're anti it, it almost gives it credence as, and I want to credibilize it.
Yeah. Take away some of the power of it. Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of okay, I'm a non-Zionist. I believe that there needs to be one state that is a democratic state that goes from the river to the sea for all people that choose to live there in harmony. That's what I believe. And the only way that can happen is not as any sort of ethno-state. Ethno-state means ethno-cleanse. It's not rocket science. So that's what I think. And there's no negotiating it really. I kind of feel like that about healthcare, right? We're done discussing this. Yeah. And it's that. And I'm tired of people talking about hostages and Hamas and all that because you're just focused on one incident, which while very important, we're so far past that now. Yeah. We are so far past that now.
So far past that now. And also there were 75 years before that that's what I did not start on. Yeah. And the talk about hostages, I saw a few people with dog tags this weekend, bring the hostages home. And they never talk about the 6,000 or 5,500 hostages, prisoners who are already being held in Israeli jails, many of them children or no charges, women, and then the like 3,500 who have been taken since October 7th.
Yep.
Hostages.
And Netanyahu's against a prisoner exchange. So, I mean, when you talk about, actually getting something done, we're sending all this money to somebody who doesn't support what we support at all in this country.
Yeah, even if you say you want to bring hostages home, he's not doing that. That's not his.
He doesn't
mission.
care about the hostage. First of all, we saw them shoot, I think, at 3 of their own, killed 3 of their own hostages. Like
they killed more than they've saved, actually.
Yes. And then if you're indiscriminately bombing, you don't care about your hostages. You don't care about your hostages. I don't understand how anybody could think they do. They were okay losing their hostages in the first place. They killed a whole bunch of people on October 7th in their little Hannibal, directive.
Yeah.
They're psychotic.
It is a lunatic nation. Yes. I mean, truly. Yeah. So yes. Okay. So we, and I think everybody who watches this, we're all in agreement, but can you also then tell us something about the rest of your platform?
Sure. So this time when we ran in 20, we focused like our big 3 were healthcare, environment, and criminal justice reform. All important things. Let's be real. All of these issues are addressed in detail because I'm a total dork on my website, which is written in the style of the preamble. I'm such a dork. Like right to, security, whatever, all that. And then that's how I did it. But the key things that we're really focusing on is the promote the general welfare portion. And really it's about healthcare, housing, and jobs.
Okay.
I love the 21st Century Economic Bill of Rights. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harvey Kay and Alan Minsky. They wrote that amazing article that really highlighted it, which I put a nice link to on my website.
Which is gen2024.org. We will put a link in the description. Yes.
I wrote it down. You stole my moment, Lila. I was going to look so organized.
So really, and so obviously, I mean, I support, you call it Medicare for all, you call it single payer, you call it whatever you want to. Everybody gets healthcare free at point of service. And that includes actually mental and vision and dental and basically just everything.
Right.
But yeah, everybody just gets that, like in terms of at point of service. You can call it whatever you want. Yeah. And then the second thing in terms of housing, we're having a serious situation here. Honestly, there are so many different ways that has to be attacked. And I am so not the expert on that. But what I do know is that anybody working a full-time job needs to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment wherever they live. Okay. So whatever has to happen in terms of regulations against big corporations, like whether you're talking about State Street, all of those. Right. And then there has to also be significant protection for renters as well. But until people that are working a 40-hour week can spend a quarter of their income on housing and be in that zone, then we're not in the place we need to be for housing. So, and it isn't that there isn't enough housing. Right. There is enough housing, not necessarily affordable housing. There's housing. So
I happen to have the perfect graphic here.
Okay, perfect. So you see my point. So housing is my big second one. And then third, I really want to push the idea of federal job guarantee. And I know that that's more novel, but I remember like 10 years ago, we weren't all talking about Medicare for all like we are. And I feel like this is an opportunity to sort of plant that seed. But I've just, through all the people I've had on over the past 3 years and people like experts and stuff that we've talked to, I really believe that the federal job guarantee is the best way to do it, more so than having a minimum wage where we're constantly fighting about what's living, what's not living. If you have a federal job guarantee that's a living wage, you set that wage. Right. That sets the wage. And that just to me makes sense. Instead of unemployment offices, you have employment offices. Right. There's ways to do this if there's a political will to do it. And I think the more people know about it, like we know about healthcare, then maybe in 20 years they'll be demanding that too. Like it's just got to be out there. So really 21st century economic bill of rights. But yeah, I cover all sorts of things. I mean, the issues are lengthy on my website. So yeah.
So, it's interesting because I think, as you said, Bernie kind of opened up a lot of our eyes wherever we've all moved on from there, possibly, and disappointment with him at various times, but definitely opened up a lot of our eyes to why we don't have Medicare for all. Why don't we, I guess Sunrise Movement and Green Party, but Green New Deal, living wage, all those things. And and yeah, 100%, I agree with you. What does it mean exactly when you say a federal jobs guarantee? Is that you're working like really government jobs, or is it also like teaching, or it's like there's okay.
And there's a great book. I'm going to look at, I read it. Like I listen to it. Whenever I do an audiobook, then I forget the name of it because I don't have the book to look at the thing. But her name is Paulina oh God, what is her name? I don't know. She wrote A Case for a Federal Job Guarantee is the name of the book. And Steve Grumbine, who's a friend, had recommended this. And it's really smart. But the general idea is there are so many people that have so many things that they could be doing to contribute to the world. If you're a musician, you could be teaching music. If you're a caregiver, you're probably not being paid for the care that you're giving. For example, if you're staying home and caring for a parent or a spouse, the federal job guarantee, you would get paid for doing that. It's about valuing people for what they do and offering a living wage for things that are important in, civilization.
Right.
So it isn't that you go to work for the state or the federal government, but it gets subcontracted through state agencies, and then they deal with private different businesses, like not like a temp firm, but
aren't they usually community driven, like the needs?
Yes,
it's all locally decided stuff.
Correct. And it's caregiving, teaching, arts, culture, environmental stuff. People that there are so many things that community wise that need to be done.
Yeah.
And wouldn't we rather be paying people for employment than unemployment? I mean, it just seems smarter to me. And the truth is that will be to me, that's the best way to set a living wage.
Right.
And
then other businesses have to compete with,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible that we don't have a cost of living, like that the federal minimum wage is not keeping up with inflation, and it's not even set with that. I mean, the last minimum wage was under George W. Bush. Okay, I'll have to look that up.
The book, and I'm seeing them talking about it. Yeah, it's A Case for Federal Job Guarantee, I believe. And her name is, it's Russian, Chernova is the last name, something like that.
Okay.
Very good. Explains it better than I can. But anyway, it's very look, this is look, FDR did this. This is not rocket science. Like, we've had these things. That's why this is the continuation of his economic bill of rights. Yeah.
So, one thing that I thought was so interesting in 2020, those Fox exit polls that showed that all of Bernie's, he's, a radical, he's so far left, they were majority popular, even amongst the Fox crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I don't think it's great that you're talking about a federal jobs guarantee. And I do think that talking about Israel and making sure that, especially as a Jewish person, that people know, yes, I'm Jewish, and no, I am not in favor of this Zionist project. And I'm not scapegoating only Netanyahu, which I think is also like this new tactic where he's the only person. It's like how people are like, oh, Trump, he's an anomaly. He's not an anomaly. He's exactly who all the Republicans are, and most Democrats also, let's face it. But it's not that most people don't want this. Like, I don't really think that we are that divided a nation when you actually talk to people. It's the money in politics that's preventing any of these programs that most of the country wants from even being mentioned anymore. So how do we get to that point?
A big part of it is this sort of tribalism where if an idea comes from one person on the other side, we're going to hate it and we can't work with that person because we've lost all sense of reason. And so for me, it's just a matter of, I will work with, talk with, go anywhere to work with people who are on my mission on any one particular thing. Maybe we don't agree on this, but we agree on that. Okay, so let's get that done. Yeah. The constant tribalism, the constant bickering, it is off the wall. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with campaign finance stuff and insider trading and all sorts of corruption as to who they work for.
Right.
But a lot of it is just like this perpetual need of everybody to be on teams, which is propagated by our disgusting media. And it's they want us to be in this way. Yeah. When in reality, we do know that most people do want the same things. And I know this for a fact. I've been canvassing my district for the better part of 4 years. We had our women's reproductive rights on the ballot, or we got it on the ballot. We were collecting petitions for that. I talk to people all over. Right. I'll go knocking on a door that has a Trump flag hanging on it and a door that has like the, save the whales, right? Like the whole thing. Yeah. And for the most part, people all want the same things.
Yeah.
And it's how the different groups are labeling things and purposefully misleading things so that they can keep skewing people onto their teams.
Right.
And it's sick, and it allows them to keep fundraising. The Democrats love this.
Yeah.
And so I just keep breaking through it. I just keep, but I have a lot of common ground and make a lot of coalitions with not only Republicans, but a lot of libertarians. And that's because I'm very, very like civil libertarian.
Okay.
And I like people like a lot of I don't have a problem with the Second Amendment, not even a little bit. Okay. And that is something that pisses off a lot of the progressives that I'm not all about that issue.
Okay.
And a lot of the libertarians like that about me. So it is what it is. I just, so I get more of a well-rounded, I don't know. I feel like I could be a decent conduit to bring the people that consider, and by the way, I meet people that consider themselves, they say, well, I'm conservative. And then I talk to them and we basically agree on everything.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I'm like, so what makes you conservative? Is it just that you want to have guns? And they're like, well, yeah, we like to. I'm like, okay, but and I also don't like that somehow the left no longer claims civil liberties. I've always been left and I've always been in favor of civil liberties. So I don't know, I think that we just people need to just wake up.
Yeah. And stop. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm kind of curious. What is Debbie going to run on? What's her platform going to be? Like,
you mean, how is she going to make me look not capable?
Yeah. I mean, is that her whole platform? Is it the scary, crazy leftist? Is that the thing?
That will be part of it. She will definitely have AIPAC that'll be running nonstop, whatever about me as a self-loathing Jew and whatever other stuff.
Yeah, they already pledged $100 million to.
Oh yeah, no, and between like June and August, I'll be the only primary left, so it'll be fun. It'll be a whole party with me and AIPAC.
They'll find another $50 million for you.
Yeah, have at it. But here's the thing.
In your head. Yeah.
I don't know what other candidates do in terms of their community networks, their coalitions, how involved they are locally. So when we look at certain campaigns and all the money, we're looking at fundraising and we're looking at like national level stuff. But I don't know what any of those candidates' ground game look like. I don't know how involved in their communities they are, because at the end of the day, it comes down to voters.
Right.
So they can have all the money, and you know what I'm saying? Like, we need the amount of money we need to reach the amount of people we need to reach. Right. I don't need more than that. Yeah. She can raise 10 times that. Yeah. And it's not, that won't matter. Like, there's this point of diminishing marginal returns on her end. And so I don't know. I feel like I feel good. I know they're going to attack me. I know they're going to say things about me. Fortunately for me and unfortunate for her, and I'm sure she's done such a deep dive into me by now that it's just probably eating her up that she can't find anything. But before I ran the first time, I had a friend's husband do like an investigation into me, like he didn't know me, like to see what would come up. And then they gave me the report, and it was so disappointing. Like, I literally have had the most boring existence known to man. Like, other than moving, there's literally nothing. Like, it's so boring. Right. So what is she going to say? She's going to say I have no experience. Right. She's going to say that I'm so left that it'll make the seat go Republican, which is absolutely a lie. That's not true. Right. And so, like, that's it. She's not going to really be able to. What is she going to stand on? What? Did she have done her job? Yeah.
So will you have an opportunity to debate? Are you guaranteed debates? Is that?
Oh God, no. She will. This is my prediction. Actually, Peter and I have sort of like a wager on this. My prediction is that we will get all the way to the primary without her even mentioning my name. She won't mention my name. So there's not a single chance in hell she'll purposefully be present anywhere where I am or debate me. Right. So now Peter thinks that eventually that she's going to end up having to sort of say, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But no, last time she just ignored it and completely pretended that it wasn't happening. I don't think she'll be able to do that as well, because I think people will ask her now, especially if we have as good of a showing as I think we will in our first one. So, and it makes us viable for endorsements, viable for different things. People will ask. Right. I still think she won't say my name. That's my prediction, guys. We'll have to wait and see.
So there's no requirement for debate. We don't have to debate in a democracy. I know. I love this.
Well, here's the thing. I don't debate anyway. I don't want to. Okay. I don't want to. What are we going to debate? We're going to debate Israel? No. We're going to debate healthcare? No. Right. I don't feel the need. I really don't. So that's the other thing. Debates are just theater. And nobody really ever changes their mind. Nobody watches the debate now and goes, everyone just thinks their person wins. Right. And it's just theater. And I honestly. Yeah. So no, I have no need to debate her.
Yeah. Good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask. So I have no idea. I mean, obviously she's Jewish and in Florida, and I'm sure she's extremely pro-Israel. But is she boxed into that? Has she made statements that are going to end up being really inflammatory if the public really turns on Israel?
She has been AIPAC spokesperson over the past week. Twice now, we've seen her on the Capitol steps. Just recently, I don't even remember which one it was just a few days ago, when she was talking about something horrible. Oh, about the hostages, about that Hamas is rejecting the deal. We need to get the hostage back. Yeah, nobody is going to accept a 6-week ceasefire. That's not happening. That's ridiculous. Nobody would do that. That's just stupid.
Right.
So she was saying that she's been putting herself front and center on this issue all over the place. She's the gift that keeps giving. A few weeks ago, she stood on the steps of the Capitol and said about the resolution that said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism.
Right.
And most of them signed that. So in other words, 2 + 2 is 5. Okay. Yep. So she stood on the steps of the Capitol and said that anyone who wouldn't sign that doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Right. Now, and again, she's an expert on the soulless.
Yeah.
But you know, it's, she is making herself so front and center in this. This is so not going to age well.
And that's exactly what I think, because, you know, people's votes on the Iraq war haunted them down the line. Yeah. But you got real time reporting on this stuff. Like, you know, public opinion is going to turn really hard on this.
Well, you see
further down the road
how Biden, both because electorally and because I think he's realizing that he is now complicit in a genocide by providing arms to, you know, people who are plausibly committing a genocide, that could have some sort of, I mean, it will never, because what is that Hague Act will like go in and, you know, the US will go in and attack the Hague or whatever. But I mean, there are implications for being complicit in war crimes. So it's been interesting to see now, you know, of course, I mean, it's all just words and rhetoric as he sends all of the weapons to the people who are massacring and starving Palestinians, and then, you know, dump some food on their heads, killing 5 people, this pier that's ridiculous. But it's been interesting to see that there's some attempt now from, you know, Schumer, for instance, to distance himself from Netanyahu and again act as though he's an anomaly and that he's not representative at this point of basically the psyche, I think, in most of Israel.
Yeah, no, it for sure is. People need, Netanyahu, yes, and he needs to go and he needs to be in prison. That's a whole other song and dance. But it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter. The freak show, but Ben Gvir and those guys they're psychopaths. Yeah. It doesn't matter who's the person there any more than it matters who's the person here.
Yeah. And that's you're not going to get a more progressive replacement, most likely.
Oh no, you'll get a more conservative one.
Exactly.
And then the other problem I have with all of this, and this goes to Chuck Schumer, this goes to Joe Biden, it goes to any of them. Too little, too late. Doesn't matter what you do. You will never, ever, ever. This will never be redeemable, ever. Yeah. I don't care if Joe, if they could build them an international airport and start taking people out tomorrow. Too late. Oh, well, you are wrong. And it doesn't matter. And at this point, I honestly am like, you're having 1 million+ people that are going to starve. You can't just then in a few months bring in food. That's not how this works.
No, of course.
So this was always ending with a couple million dead people in the desert. Ever from the very beginning, I have been saying this whole time. There is no way they created a scenario where there's no turning it back.
Yeah.
So they are unredeemable.
It is unredeemable. What's your response when people say, "Oh, well, Trump would be so much worse"?
Worse than genocide.
I know it's like a little bit pregnant.
No,
I mean, I don't even understand.
I refuse to engage in that. That is the most ridiculous thing ever, because as when I was at that event with an entire tent full of people from Palestine who are like, they're like freaking out. I don't think they really care if it's Trump at this point.
Yeah.
So and anybody, quite honestly, if you're in a position where that truly affects you, really affects you, consider yourself very privileged. Yeah. Consider yourself privileged. It's the difference between those two people truly affect you. Not just you don't like him and he says mean things and he's disgusting, but truly affects your life.
And assuming Biden loses, the war is going to be pinned to his loss. So Trump's going Trump would take power and have the public massively against the war
Correct.
by default, because Biden just lost because of the war.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Trump, I don't think, and Trump doesn't have an ideology. He's just a narcissist. No.
Yeah.
So it's not like he'll go with whatever will make him look best. That's how he works. He goes with wherever the people from above whisper in his ear.
Right.
But he doesn't have like I don't believe actually a personal agenda, whereas Joe Biden is a staunch Zionist. So,
yeah, I mean, so much so that apparently, like Menachem Begin thought that he was a, genocidal maniac back in '82 when he didn't think that they had gone far enough, and when Reagan said that the invasion of Lebanon was a genocide. Reagan to the left of Biden on this, crazy.
Yeah. So the Trump is worst thing. Look, I'm not getting into it with people if they feel that way and they have their Trump fears and their whatever is about. But people who truly know and follow policy, that really pay attention, they know that it doesn't. That is not scary.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and there will be more pressure on Trump if from the media. I mean, look, a lot of the media is still going to back the AIPAC viewpoints, the J Street. They're still beholden to the money. But they're going to have an interest in fighting the incumbent and making Trump look bad. It's going to play well. So they're going to be dueling pressures on the media, which is going to only put more light into the pro-Palestine side of things.
Yeah. I mean, we really see what happened when Biden came in and sort of doubled down on all of the worst Trump policies, whether it was the military-industrial complex or police or killing 800,000 people with COVID or the border wall, the deportations. I mean, and 2 different wars, something about both Trump's chaos prevented him from getting a lot of things done, as disgusting as his rhetoric was, but also to have an antagonistic press. And even though it was just reflexive and they don't have any ideology, clearly, because now they all love, the exact same things that they hated when Trump was doing it. So without that antagonism from the fourth estate, we don't have a democracy. So on some level, I mean, Biden is the accelerationist candidate,
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because until all of the different groups that have grievances, whether it's the labor movement, the environmental movement, the Stop Cop City people, the pro-Palestine people, all of those groups need to start coalescing and showing up at each other's events on the regular. And that starts the web of an eventual general strike. Yeah. And that is where power is. It's in the more people. Yeah. So I think that when you get through to people and be like, our oppressor is the same. Yeah. Whether it's economic, military, environmental injustice, it's all connected. Yeah. So all of our people that we're fighting against is the same people. Yeah. So even though we might not agree on all of our issues, we're all still fighting against the same people. Right. So I think we need to coalesce on common enemy and less so on individual kind of things. And so I try to like sort of visually create that, put that out there in the ether. That's my sort of thought.
Yeah. Building coalitions for sure.
Sounds pretty radical.
Am I crazy, Pat?
It's so crazy that we all want to just have a
somehow
dignified life.
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah. I just think everyone should be able to live. Yeah. I think anybody who's working 40 hours a week, we could debate the 32. I'm open to it. Yeah. I'm open to it. Yeah. But anybody who works a full work week is entitled to live a life of dignity with housing, healthcare, education, food. Yeah. It's really not complicated. Right. And most people want that. They've just been brainwashed and lied to about austerity, and they've been brainwashed and lied to about, different partisan nonsense. Right. And so, my goal is to kind of try to pull people out of that.
Good. That's great. Well, that's great. And you have your own sort of evolution story of having the facade peeled back and understanding what the truth was with Israel. I think a lot of people go through their own versions of that, whether it's Israel's propaganda or the U.S. propaganda. So I think that's a really nice way in to relate to the people you are canvassing with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? It's really not hard for me to do it. Yeah. It's really not hard for me. I will go anywhere and talk to anybody. Really, very easily. I'll go meet with anybody who wants to talk to me. We could talk. Yeah. So I'm extremely easy and I'm extremely transparent and I'm available. And Like, I will go to events. I give my phone number to everybody. You want to reach out to me and meet up or something, that's all good. So
yeah.
I just do my best to coalesce and build bridges, because otherwise we'll get nowhere.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that's the thing. And the running for Congress thing, it's part of a strategy. It's not the be all end all. That's not, I'm not getting there and getting everybody health care. That's not how this works. They're not going to play with me, people. They're not going to like me very much. So it's just about the platform and using your voice and fighting and making sure that labor has a seat, making sure that immigrants are properly treated, and like just fighting, being a voice, whether or not policy, you know what I'm saying? Like, just Jesus, this is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we have really, that slippery slope is just a steep cliff at this point. So we really need to come back, because sometimes it really does feel like we're beyond repair. So people who are still willing to fight that good fight, give us all a lot of hope.
Well, I just, I look at what's happening at the border and it drives me crazy. Everyone wants to argue about immigration policy. Forget the policy for a second, people. Can we put the policy aside for 5 seconds? Like, we could debate paths to citizenship. I don't really care, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You could even decide not to let immigrants in, maybe, if everybody wanted that, whatever, majority rule, fine. My issue is how we're treating human beings when they come here. My issue is how people are treated at the border. That is unacceptable way to treat people. I don't care whether you let them stay or they have to leave. We can discuss those things. It is unacceptable to treat human beings this way, period. And so until we get in compliance with like international human rights laws, which we are not, it's very hard for people to meet, like, how are you being sanctimonious about anything having to do with human rights anywhere?
I mean, truly. Yeah. The rules-based order has been shown to be a complete mockery. All right. We promised that we wouldn't keep you too long, but I want to make sure, is there anything else that we haven't gotten to that you want to make sure people know about your campaign, about your philosophy?
Well, guys, I have a podcast called Generational Change with a J. And the only it really shows who I am. And we have like over 3 years of content. So it definitely is, if anybody's really interested in finding out this is what I'm about, that's the way to go. What happened to her? Where's Lila?
She disappeared. She'll be back. So say something important and stall, so I don't have to say anything silly and ridiculous.
So we have a lot of content on there. Obviously, I want people to go to gen2024.org. You could see all the issue statements. I write everything. It is from me. It is not from anybody else. I also am available if people send an email and somebody has something that they want to help with, or they want to suggest, or we are taking all kinds of help, any kinds of support. You can reach out to us on our website. And the whole thing is disgusting. Again, pregnant women swimming over razor wire just ain't sitting right with me, people. It just ain't sitting right.
Oh my God. And Biden's board
of all things. That was the most disgusting image of 2023.
All of it is just freaking me out, but we need support. We do need money. You guys can definitely support with money if you can. I do have mechanism for people who want to go outside of Act Blue. I am very sensitive to that. So if you scroll to the bottom, there's a link to go through. I think it's Stripe. I don't know, whatever. It's something that's non-Act Blue. So you could do that, and follow us on all our socials. We're at Gen for Congress 2024 on Twitter and Instagram. And I think on Facebook, I'm still at Jen Perelman. But we're just trying to help people. I'll be running a service-based campaign again. We're out doing service, and it's just building community. So that's what I'm trying. That's the only way this is going to work. So, everybody, you could keep banging your head against the wall and running campaigns for a person. And then when they lose, the campaign goes away, the money goes away, nothing happens, and everybody has to start over. We're not getting anywhere, people. So I like to use the campaign to do momentum.
When you win, we're going to hold your feet to the fire. And you could end up worse of the week on our show if you're not really fighting these people. Because I'm ready. I'm going to say, I knew Jen and she was on our show. Here's a clip. Here's what she said.
Funny.
Once you win, you'll come back and do shots and weed with us.
Hell yeah. I will come back. Mark my words.
Okay.
I will come back on every single show that has ever had me on that would want to have me back as a congressperson. I would come on. And I would not only that, but those shows will get priority over any other mainstream media. So, already first off, if like we win, first is Jordan Cheriton. Like, we have a list of our people that have just really had our back. But I am extremely loyal. And the other thing is, I'm also pushing 53 people. I'm not looking for a new career. I'm not trying to go there forever. I have a mountain that has my name on it. I have a camper that I would like to be in. This is not like, maybe if I were 25, 26, right, and I saw this as like a career move, right, then it would be like, I have no reason not to do whatever I'm doing, because I don't need to get reelected.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm good.
There's a lot of power in that.
There's a lot of power in that. And by the way, people like it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even get into the whole disappointment of the squad and AOC bringing the ruckus, and the most powerful person is a one-term congressperson, because, and the thing that we always say is, absolutely, if she actually had continued fighting and being the person we all thought she would, she'd never lose an election, because it is incredibly popular, even if sometimes the issue isn't exactly what you might agree with. But to see somebody who is really fighting hard for her constituents and for the policies she believes in, and not just doing these sort of careerist maneuvers.
Go down swinging. Like, can just one of these squad people just jump on the knife and end their career with the right opinions?
Well, here's the thing that's interesting, because one of the things that obviously we like about that group is that they don't take corporate money, right? So we know that they're not bought. We know that. Right. But obviously they're still very intimidated by whatever forces, whatever powers. And I don't get too into that about judging that, because I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. But it does appear to me that the common denominator for all of it is keeping the job. Yeah. Because if you're not concerned with keeping the job, then what would you be scared of? Yeah. So that's the common denominator. Yeah. Now, what everybody's personal positions are in terms of finances, I don't know. Yeah. And I don't judge it. And you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. But I am not in that position. Yeah. Which is definitely a privilege. Yeah. And that's the point, is lending that, right? So I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but I have been the same person, seriously, forever. Yeah. I am the same here. I'm the same there. Yeah. I am the same at any function. So I don't know. I mean, could I have a lobotomy, and maybe when you go to the orientation, they put like a probe or something, and I don't know, that could happen. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're fighting hard, and we really appreciate your taking the time to stop by here and tell us about your campaign, and we will be following it.
Gen2024.org.
Okay.
No, you guys are great. And share, guys, if you want to volunteer from anywhere, send love, send money, just share is helpful. All of it's good.
All right, we'll do. Good luck, and we will be tracking you. Thanks so much, Jen. Bye. Take care. Bye. That's great. That's really fun. It's hard because, God, I just feel like, the squad destroyed so many things. They
made it hard for everyone coming behind them, and they were supposed to do the opposite. They were supposed to lift up, everybody sees how hard we're fighting, so now let's elect more progressives, and they've done the opposite.
I used to give to lots of candidates, not a lot of money, but $5 a month to probably 10, 15 different people on a rotation, and now I don't give to anybody. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that about Jen, but I just they squashed my enthusiasm. So it's wonderful to hear somebody who, we've known Jen for a while now, and I wholeheartedly believe that she will not worry about making friends with people who don't deserve her loyalty. So we will keep watching her.
And she, if she wins, she's coming back, which is going to help our show. So that's what really matters.
That's all we really
she's
care
president
about.
One day.
Oh my God, look at that. Yeah,
a lot of people are saying we need to do a shot and get this thing.
I think we're gonna make an audible.
Audible it up.
We're gonna audible it up, and then we'll spin the wheel. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to people willing to take on the system.
You got to get our wheel up. Cheers.
Oh, I do. I lost it. Sorry.
No, while she's doing that, I preloaded a misogyny. So I'll play the misogyny while she's loading this up. This is all me because she was gone. So
how was your day? It's good. I woke up and went to work. I'm a manager. She's such a bitch. Lunchtime. Iced lemon tea. It was so good. Then I saw this dress online. It was so pretty. Yeah, today was actually quite good. Oh, did you see the Blackpink concert? Did you like it? Yeah, but actually, yeah, I think today was actually quite good.
Hilarious. It's hilarious, Pat. Misogyny is always funny.
It's hilarious over here. Come on.
It's just nonstop fun. Yeah, losing my feed mid-show is always like a little startling. So yes, all right, I got it all back on. Here we go. Adding it to the stage. Time to spin the wheel.
Well,
here we go.
Oh, and we added the marijuana for the marijuana.
Yes, we added the marijuana, so we don't want to leave anybody out. Here.
Here we go.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling, and you take him for a friend.
There are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
On the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me an example.
Well, the large number of white students who have gone into the South, for example, working for SNCC and other organizations.
Not working for SNCC or other organizations, but working for the white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negroes.
Okay. Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
It's just amazing to see. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at so many comments just to see how current what he said remains, and I think maybe has only gotten worse. You know, there was that quotation from what's his name, Bruce Springsteen, and it's the thing that we see no matter who it is, no matter what the policy, for some reason. Not for some reason, they've been propagandized and conditioned to believe that if Democrats are doing the exact same horrific policy that we hated with Trump, they will excuse it the way Robert De Niro did last week. Like, the vote blue no matter who crowd really gets a sense of moral rectitude from voting for Democrats. They think it makes them better people because Democrats are just inherently good because they say a couple of nice things. And
I mean, it's the sports analogy is really it. It's you support your team and you think like oh, I'm a Warrior fan, so all the players must be good people, and like.
But I don't think Republicans think that they're good people for voting.
Yeah, you're right. Democrats do come at it with a moral authority position.
Yeah,
like we're the righteous ones.
I mean, it's a smart strategy.
Although on the right, the right has abortion, and they think they have a moral authority on abortion. So that's the common denominator to forgive Trump's misdeeds.
Right.
And the left is like, well, we're always going to be better on gay marriage and abortion, so that's moral authority for us over here.
Yes, you're totally right that with the pro-life crowd, and I don't agree with them, but I understand if that were my issue, and I can understand the logic behind that and the passion behind that, if that is something that you believe, that life starts at conception. But I mean, obviously a version of life starts at conception, but like I am 100% on-demand abortion, but I understand that. But like,
which reminds me, sorry, I know you're going to talk politics, but I'm going to plug your movie because I started watching it.
Oh,
Conception.
Thank
you. Josh Stolberg, her husband, and her, and she, I don't know what's the right one.
And she, yeah.
He wrote it.
He wrote it and directed it. I produced it and acted in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I unfortunately, I didn't fall asleep.
My God!
Here comes
a rave review.
No, it was like in the middle of the night, and I just remembered like, oh, her movie. I got to go watch her movie, and it started out. It was really good. I watched one of your scenes, so I know I saw you. It was lovely. Anyway, back to politics. It just popped in my head.
Thank you. That's so nice. I really.
But it's free on Amazon. I didn't even have to log into my account to watch it. You can watch it with free commercials and things.
Look at that. I haven't seen how it's how they chopped it up. Now that they're going to put commercials in it, of course. And of course, we, aren't seeing any money from it, but it was a real labor of love. It was so much fun. My kids are in a couple scenes when they were little, and we had a really good cast. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching it. I actually, as I was saying before, I was just with my older son, Asher, and his college baseball team, and the two head coaches came over for drinks last night and said something about watching the movie with the team, but they had just started it, and that they'd seen Asher and Xander, my younger one, who's about to go play there next year also. And then I had there's a lot of sex in this, quite a bit of nudity, and I thought you guys might not want to. I appreciate watching it with their whole team and their coaches. So I just wanted to put that.
Well, that gangbang scene you were in was a little weird.
It's all everything is consensual.
It's a little weird.
Everything is consensual. It's just lots of different ways that people make babies. Anyway, thank you for watching that and for the plug. I appreciate it.
Of course. We didn't land on a topic. Oh, we landed on.
We haven't even done it. We got to hash it out, right?
We got to hash it out. Let's do the little hash
it out.
Wait. Where is it? Here we go. Maybe. Did I get rid of it? Where'd it go? It's not on my screen.
No way, really? Look at that.
It's gone. It's flat out gone.
That's
do you have it on yours?
I do not. That's what happens when I fly in last minute and we don't spend the day like double checking each other. It's not your fault. You did a ton today, so
I'll tell you what happened. It was on there twice, and I deleted it. I deleted one of them, and it must have deleted them both because it shouldn't have been on there twice. But I'm going to stall talking for a good 15 seconds because I'm uploading it right now.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you put a lot of work.
But I didn't make fireworks to not have fireworks going off.
All right. I think that is important. I did see a few people thank us for the adding the weed to the wheel. So we got that.
Yeah, that's for all you weed folks. I used to love the weed. I'm with you 100%. Here's our intro.
All right. So we have, I know I'm toggling back and forth. I got a little bit out of practice. We have got worst of the week Israel, COVID, the economy, and one good thing. So let's start with our worst of the week this week. Somebody I hear his name all the time, but like don't really know much about him.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had no idea who Destiny actually was. I really didn't know what he looked like, none of it. But he's always in the discourse because he's a debate bro.
Yeah.
And he takes sensational positions just to get attention. And that's like the worse these people are, the better they do in their little segment of the internet, apparently.
It's kind of phenomenal. I mean, truly the, in Yiddish, we'd say the chutzpah, but the arrogance to think that he can, and we're about to show it, but show a little clip from it. He just did like a 4-hour debate with Norman Finkelstein, Mulan Rabini, Benny Morris. But, Finkelstein and Rabani, are scholars. Like they have been reading about Palestine and Israel and the project of Zionism for decades. And here's this guy. I mean, did he start off doing the Twitch thing, or was he always like a podcaster?
I literally have no idea. And please don't ever follow this guy from this. I mean, not that anybody will.
God.
And don't even hate watch his videos. We're just sharing because it was regarding Israel, and he took Israel's side on this whole thing. Obviously, it's not a genocide according to him.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And telling Norm that he's just like using talking points, but Norman Finkelstein handles him beautifully, I think.
Yeah. Let's just show it.
All right, here we go.
Mr. Bennell, don't change the subject. If you don't know what you're talking about, at least have the humility. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's just so embarrassing. At least have some humility. Between us, we've read maybe 10,000 books on the topic, and you've read 2 Wikipedia entries, and you start talking about chapter 6. Do you know what chapter 7 is?
Answer me.
He's so good. He's so funny. And when he speaks quickly like that, he really there was another great clip.
Well, I love that the guy laughing at him at the end there is on his side.
He's on the guy sitting next to Destiny.
Side.
Yeah. And he
he's
can't help
laughing.
it. Yeah. Because it's so embarrassing.
And Finkelstein, there's a whole nother clip that exists that we didn't pull, but it's all the times Finkelstein said his name wrong, like intentionally.
Yeah. He keeps calling him by his real name, Bennell, Borrell, Mr. But yeah.
That's the stuff that wins these stupid debates.
I know.
Who gets the zingers on him. But that's where he failed. He thought he could come in and just use his little zingers and look up things on Wikipedia and beat great minds like Finkelstein.
Yeah. So I'm just going to show one more little clip.
Yeah.
It's like.
If the Hamas is hiding behind civilians
every time they target a kid, I'm sure they believe it's Hamas. When they killed the 4 kids
they believe.
Yeah, I know they believed it, even though they were diminutive size. Even though they were diminutive.
That angle, you don't see the size.
Yeah, no, they saw the size. Let's leave it aside.
Oh, I know what he's quoting here, but you've lied about this particular instance in the past. Those kids weren't just on the beaches, as often stated in articles. Those kids were literally coming out of a previously identified Hamas compound that they had operated from. They literally did.
Mr. Borelli, with all due respect, you're such a fantastic moron. It's terrifying. That wharf was filled with journalists. There were scores of journalists. That was an old fisherman's shack. What are you talking about? It's so painful. It's so painful to listen to this idiocy.
He's awesome.
God bless him.
God bless him. I really appreciate it. It's really way too long a clip, and I'm sure most of you have heard it anyway, but just right after October 7th, when he said that he would not condemn Hamas and talked about Hamas as a resistance movement and made a correlation between them and Nat Turner's slave rebellion, or again, the Polish, the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, they were sort of bloodbaths. There was a lot of atrocities that happened, especially, with Nat Turner's slave revolt. I think they were beheadings. They killed women and children. But just the way Israel talks about every Palestinian as being guilty and being evil and being Hamas, everybody's Hamas, the UNRWA workers, the doctors, the hospitals, the universities, the press, everybody, the kids. the oppressed people look at their oppressors that way, because if you're benefiting from your oppression, you bear responsibility. And I don't think, an oppressed people has a right to fight for their liberation. And that is international law. And they are allowed to do it by taking up arms. The oppressors are not allowed to subjugate people by taking up arms. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. And if you're oppressed, it's almost like there's an expectation of violence at some point against your oppressors. So to justify, to be forced to defend atrocities against these people who eventually were going to fight back in any way possible and have tried all the other means possible by far. They have done everything they can at this point. They have no power. So,
and the thing with the, return the hostages, I mean, the part of the reason that Hamas took hostages, and that rave was not supposed to be happening there. There's been a lot of discussion about how it was rescheduled. The location had changed. I don't think that was part of the expectation, but there is no leverage. And how do you get back your own people who have been stolen? Kids are being stolen. A 6-year-old was just stolen from her house last week. And, there, as opposed to the claims about, some mass systematic weaponized rape by Hamas, there is well documented evidence from scores of people who have been sexually assaulted or raped or tortured when they have been taken prisoner hostage by the IDF for no reason. They can just languish there for years. So I don't know. There is a boiling point.
There is, but it's the propaganda that really hurts us. So this morning I was listening to NPR on the way to work. Yesterday morning, on the way to work, and they had a father of someone killed in the October 7th. Actually, he was a hostage taken on October 7th, and it ended up dying. And he's part of a coalition that's lobbying politicians all the time on behalf of the hostages.
Right.
But in his interview, he brought up all the rapes. He made all this incendiary language based on all these, what we know now are lies. And this was yesterday. He's on NPR saying to this liberal audience that all these rapes happened, that babies got I don't think he said babies got their heads cut off, but he brought up a lot of the tropes.
The barbarism.
He literally did call it barbarism.
Right.
So he's programmed to use this language.
Yeah. And
NPR lets it go and they're playing it. They don't challenge him on it at all. Yeah. I get it. It's a difficult situation because he's a grieving father.
Right.
His son that was a hostage was killed and he just wants his body back. It's a very sympathetic story, but along with that sympathetic story to a liberal audience, they use all these things to make you more sympathetic for Israel at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
NPR doesn't even challenge it at all.
I mean, Ro Khanna was on Bad Faith with Brianna Joy Gray the other day, and he said the same thing about the rapes. And she stopped him, as she is so fantastic at doing, and her mind and her memory and the way she speaks, and went through Devin, thank you, went through, there was first, right away Zaka was saying that there was mass rape along with the beheaded babies and the stabbed pregnant belly, and then that was discounted. Then somebody else said that she saw dozens of women raped and beheaded, and then somebody else said that he saw breasts cut off and being kicked around, but and it went on and on, all of these things that have been disproven. And then it's repackaged last year, in December, I think, the Silent Screams or whatever in the New York Times, which was then systematically debunked by Gray Zone, Mondo Weiss, Electric Intifada. Then they repackage it again, coming up with a new organization in January, where again, in the New York Times, they basically just use all of the previous information that's been debunked, but now they're repackaging it like, oh, we were right the first time. And then it was only because the Daily wouldn't run that show, because there was enough outcry from actual reporters that started to make the pages of, legacy media as being not fully corroborated. And yet they still talk about it now. And you've got a sitting member of Congress who's supposed to be,
Those lies, they live forever, because the retractions, if they exist, are minimal compared to the audience that first saw it. That same audience is never getting the retraction and on the same scale.
Yeah, and it's so deep in them. Thank you, Kimmy. Thanks, you guys. It is so deep in them that it is just an accepted fact that Palestinians are barbaric. They're all Hamas. They're terrorists. Like, I really don't understand how you can call Hamas terrorists, but the IDF is not. And meanwhile, one of the things when Israel first, of course, denies the flower massacre, where, you're starving a population that you've forced into this small confined area. You let in a few trucks, and of course, people are starving. They're running. But part of the reason that there is an order there, nobody deserved to be shot. I'm not, of course, saying that, but like part of the reason that because the Hamas government structure, they're all in hiding. And then just yesterday or 2 days ago, a police family was targeted and killed by the IDF in northern Gaza. So, they're like burning the candles at both ends, or, like you are starving them and then you put out a little, crumb and then you shoot them. It's like a trap, or you drop it on their heads and kill 5 people, or you drop it in the water, which is like, here are starving people and you are forcing them to work so hard to get your little crumbs. You need some kind of order, but you are targeting anybody who comes out, because everybody's Hamas. Well, that's the government. I mean, that's Gaza's government. It's Hamas. So like, everybody knows somebody who's Hamas. I don't know.
Hamas, and let me remind you who Hamas is and how they got there. Here we go.
So are you saying Benjamin Netanyahu deliberately boosted Hamas to try to prevent a Palestinian state?
Yeah, sure. He deliberately and systematically even told, is on record, whoever wants to avoid the threat of a two-state solution has to support my policy of paying protection money to the Hamas.
So what we did, with the permission of our Prime Minister, is to let Qatar to transfer a huge amount of money in cash, probably more than $1.4 billion. By doing it, we increased the power of Hamas. We did everything in order to make sure that Hamas will go on controlling Gaza, and Palestinian Authority will control the West Bank, so they will fight each other.
Netanyahu maintains the Qatar money was to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe. Having helped to build up Hamas, Netanyahu has now vowed to destroy it.
He fed the beast, and it exploded in our face. If you base your national security strategy solely on force, then you need to win 24/7 forever.
I mean, listen, we did that with the Mujahideen. We did that, right, with Osama bin Laden. Look at the Democrats doing that with extreme MAGA Republicans now. That tactic is disgusting.
It's a failure. And look, Democrats do it to try to win their election. Like, okay, we'll prop up the bad guy like they did with Trump, obviously. But Schumer's doing it in his state. And the effect of that in his state is that it's going to get a lot of Republicans to come out and vote that wouldn't have to vote against him. And it's going to make sure that, because they have a ballot structure where the top 2 candidates progress. So it could have been 2 progressives on the ballot for the highest position.
Schiff. Are you talking about Schiff?
I'm sorry, Schiff.
Yeah, okay. Sorry,
not progressive. But it could have been 2 Democrats on the ballot.
Right.
And because of them, Schiff spending all this money to get a Republican to be his main opponent to make sure he wins this thing.
Right.
all the seats below him are more likely to go Republican.
Yeah.
Than they were.
And by the way, Republicans might come out and vote for Steve Garvey, and then we'll have this, Trump Republican as the governor, which I mean, honestly, or as the senator. And yeah, it's a dangerous game, and it's disgusting, and it always blows up in your face. And yeah, as somebody said, Azov. I mean, look at all of these fascist Nazi parties, neo-Nazi parties that Biden, is tripping over himself to fund in Ukraine. But I mean, that started obviously. I mean, it did start with Biden and Obama and Victoria Nuland, but it is, some of the people who were in January 6th trained with the Azov battalion. Some of the people who did the Jews Will Not Replace Us in Charlotte had trained with. Is it Charlottesville? Charlottesville. Sorry. Yeah. It is incredibly dangerous. And the interesting thing is, the Palestinian Authority, or Fatah, is so corrupt, right? They're basically just complicit in whatever Israel wants to do. That now I think Hamas is sort of enjoying quite a bit of popularity amongst the people in Gaza, because they're actually fighting for them on some level, even as horrific as all of this is. It's like, I mean, look, I was joking with you when I sent you that blurb about the Houthis again. I'm gonna look for that they're
pledging to
Houthis announced that the operation in the Red Sea is expanding. From now on, ships linked to Israel will be attacked even across the Indian Ocean and from South Africa towards the Good Hope Road. And I joked with you, like, I'm a Houthi stan now, or whatever, fangirl, and obviously, they are different, by the way, from Hamas, but like, that is the only group of people who are physically trying to stop the genocide. That's it.
Okay. I didn't know you were joking about that, by the way. But it's because I kind of agree with you. I mean, look, if you're rooting for the good guy versus the bad guy,
I mean, I don't want to get into the thing where, there were a bunch of, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I just
interrupting you. Yeah.
Kind of unrelated to this, but I did want to bring back to something you were talking about, Charlottesville, for example, right? So that brings me to Michael Rappaport again, because Michael Rappaport was on an interview recently saying he could vote for Trump, and they were questioning him about it. And he's one of the main things he brought up. He was like, you know what? When it came to Charlottesville, back when he was a lib, but now he's not a lib just because of the Israel issue. He saw that. He was so anti-Trump that he put out his little videos all the time about how you can't both sides of this thing. And now he's saying, you know what? I'm starting to think Trump was right. And there were two sides to that story.
Because of immigration. That's why. Because of the people beating up the cop. And then it turned out, it was blamed on somebody who is supposed to be an immigrant, wasn't an immigrant, was a U.S. citizen, or at least was here totally legally. No human being is illegal anyway. But I mean, that's his ideology, is what? Fear. That's the other thing. This idea that Jews can only exist as the biggest victims in the world is, first of all, so insulting. We're definitely not safer for having Israel there at all. We're definitely not safer for this whole this religious ethno state. And when you start getting into that sort of like contest of who's suffered more, all you're doing is pushing away people who could be in solidarity with you. Jews have been oppressed. So have Muslims. So have Palestinians. Like, there's a lot of common ground between a lot of people. And if you're trying to measure who suffered the most, instead of trying to build some solidarity amongst people, that is a losing proposition every time.
Absolutely. All right. Is there we have a lot of stuff on Israel, but we only have, so much time left. I think, do you want to hit anything else on it?
I just think this is a little funny. I just want to quickly write. So Variety ran this article saying that more than 450 Jewish creatives, executives, and Hollywood professionals have signed an open letter denouncing Jonathan Glazer's The Zone of Interest Oscar speech. And I read...
when you put these two clips up, I was like, oh, you got a duplicate. but
right.
I understood why you put the second one.
So here are the community notes, which I'm gonna put on my readers. But the community notes, because now it's like, oh, over 1,000 Jewish creatives and professionals have now denounced Jonathan Glazer. So like this is a witch hunt for one person, a Jewish man who made a movie about the horrors of the Holocaust and the banality of evil and people looking away. They are targeting just this one person, right? Now it's up to 1,000 Jewish creatives. And then the note at the bottom says, the letter is a simple Google form that does not confirm or ask for proof that the signers are Jewish creatives or professionals. One of the signers listed by Variety is a SAG-AFTRA member named River to the Sea. River to the Sea. So, you know, even in this like ridiculous McCarthyism where they're trying to show that there's this huge movement against him, they're even lying in that.
Yeah, that took me back to, those are like Pete Buttigieg's black support. And
if you don't write back by 3:00 today, you're a supporter.
You just co-sign. Hey, Joe Biden, if you support our show, if we don't hear from you in the next 20 minutes.
Yes. You said you were going to sponsor our third show of the week. Anyway, now there is a group of progressive Jews against AIPAC. Because again, AIPAC, disgusting organization that funds MAGA Republican. I mean, any Republican is disgusting to me. And January 6th, you know, election deniers. They fund anybody who's up against the squad. I mean, they're just a disgusting coalition. So anyway, I'm glad that more people are becoming more vocal, but it really, the level of propaganda is outrageous and it is hard to work through. I know.
Katie was going to have me on back in my parody days, but she never finished it up. So she kind of owes me. She was going to have me back on when I was Peter Douche in the day.
Look at that. Look at that. All right. I know we have so much stuff. Anyway, I think we should move on. We have a lot. We have a lot.
Yeah, we can say we have a lot of the Israeli media stuff, particular, but we can save that for next week because that doesn't change and it's not breaking news this week anyway. So
all right.
We need some joy in our life.
We need a little bit of joy.
Many people need some marijuana.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Now, am I removing that, or we have two? We have a possible two, right? Or did you?
No, I showed the misogyny one, which is
right.
I put that up as an emergency in case you're.
In case my thing goes away. All right.
I like writing on walls. Fuck you, society. Damn. This is action door, not a wall. Guard society. Follow your dreams. I literally only have nightmares. The question everything. Why? You're a girl on a scale of 1 to America. How free are you tonight? I mean, that is a great pickup line. But underneath it, someone wrote, Germany 1942. Do you idealize the past or see it as broken? Why? I'm just trying to take a shit. The chamber of secrets has been opened. Then close your legs. The future is in your hands. My dick is the future. If Harry Potter taught us anything, said nobody deserves to live in the closet. That was so sweet. But underneath it, someone wrote, except R. Kelly. Holy water, holy shit. Is this as good as ever gonna get? Conversations with strangers that I have never met, and I will never meet in the future. My dick is the future.
That was fun. Caitlin Cook. I like it. It's my first time I ever saw her. That's very cute. I like it.
Yeah, apparently that went viral and she goes around, she does stand-up comedy, obviously. I probably should have set it up because you don't know immediately it's all about bathroom humor, but
yeah, I think we got it. We got it pretty quickly. Good. All right. Oops. I meant to do, I know Devin's asking for a bong hit, but I feel like you can just go ahead and call your own audible and do the bong. All right. We're moving on. Where are we right now? We are moving on to
COVID.
All right. COVID. Here we come.
Good old COVID, which is gone, obviously. Every week we just want to remind people COVID's over. We're post-COVID.
Tell us about Long COVID Awareness Day.
Yeah, so Long COVID Awareness Day was the 15th, and it should have been a day to get massive attention around long COVID because you have so many people don't think it's even real. You know, the public is so uninformed on long COVID at this point. So, of course, people got together, protested, rallies, went to D.C. The idea was to get a lot of press around long COVID. And how it turned out is that the media denied its existence largely. And a friend of the show, Julia Doubleday, writes every week. She writes an article on COVID.
Yeah, she's great. So well sourced, like links to all the studies and everything. Yeah. Long COVID is a thorn in the side of back to normal. Attempts to silence patients are intensifying because, again, the whole rejoinder now is, well, you know, it's like the flu, even though you get it 3 times a year. And but, you know, people are sick all the time, but it's not a big deal anymore. And people aren't dying mostly. I mean, still like 1,500 people are dying every week, but apparently we've been told not to care about them. First, they were the unvaccinated. Then they were the people who were immunocompromised, a little old. Fauci said that a lot of people would just, fall by the wayside, unfortunately. But for those of us who remain, there is the threat of long COVID.
And so what the media did, and this is not coincidence, they planted 2 large articles on Long COVID Awareness Day, so that people searching Google would come up with these 2 articles the most.
So gross.
One of them was, COVID made us all a little insane. A grudging acknowledgement that public health officials got some things wrong would benefit us in the long run. So, the implication being that we shouldn't have locked down, probably.
Yeah.
Masks aren't as effective as we thought.
Masks don't work. There's already that.
All these things are false.
Yeah.
And then the other story with The Guardian, of all places, which is generally a respected news source.
Time to stop using the term long COVID as symptoms no worse than those after the flu, Queensland Chief Health Officer says. I mean, that is just a lie. Like, we know that they are now seeing that it affects your brain. You lose IQ points every time you get COVID. It affects people's hearts. It is a vascular disease, and it affects every single organ. And the fact that they are trying to sweep this under the rug, when people, especially working class people, are seeing the reality of how this is affecting their coworkers, themselves. I mean, right now, the only people pretty much that I ever see masked are people working at shops or restaurants that I go into. And that's it.
100%.
And then not even.
And so,
many. Yeah.
Look, this article, this scientific study, first off, it was debunked already. And it's a pre-peer review study based on patient submissions themselves. It is not at any level a scientific study that proves that long COVID is equivalent to the flu. But most people aren't even going to read the actual article. So the headline does most of the heavy lifting.
And they know that for sure. Yeah.
But it was debunked right away. So, of course, you get all the usual suspects coming out against it, claiming as fact that this study here proves beyond a reasonable doubt that long COVID doesn't exist.
He's just the worst. I mean, he just lies for a living. That's all.
Right. And just so you know, this is Kevin Bass, PhD MS, which is strange because he just got kicked out of med school about a month ago.
Yeah, so, they, I can't remember, was he at Stanford? No, he wasn't at Stanford because they love their COVID minimizers. They have, and
yeah, I don't know what school he was in. I forget.
But yeah, he was let go.
But what we do know now is that he is now working at the Brownstone Institute.
That is the common denominator.
And I don't know if we want to read all this, but where's that meme that says, I ain't going to read all that?
Good for you. And
this was an article written, I think maybe 3 months ago or something like
Is
that.
this Walker Bragman,
It was
right?
Walker Bragman did a report on who's funding the Brownstone Institute. The
Right.
Brownstone Institute, bottom line is that they were behind the Great Barrington Declaration, this whole idea of, hey, everybody get back to work, you know. And they
doesn't really affect kids.
Yeah, and then, so they acted like they put themselves out there as if they were some sort of scientific community speaking on behalf of COVID. It's one of these letter things. It might as well have been a Google form. It's the same idea of just creating some fake consensus that, oh my God, we all agree. Look at all this proof that COVID's not real. Long COVID doesn't exist. You know, yada yada.
It's all in your head, like Vinay Prasad. Yeah, it's you know, I know we've talked about this so many times, but obviously we see really successful, wealthy, privileged people getting COVID repeatedly. The level, it's like, I don't know, the cognitive dissonance, like for a while I thought, you know, with like climate change, that billionaires were just deluding themselves, that they'd go into their billionaire bunkers and they'd be safe. And then you start realizing, you know, they build their own submarine and cut corners and go into that submarine and blow themselves up. Like, and then, you know, we read at the beginning that it does something to people's brains, COVID, where it actually makes them lower their fear or desire to protect themselves from future.
Yeah, it's like some alien shit, honestly.
It really attaches to your brain and it changes your cognitive abilities.
It's very strange.
It's really strange. But like one person, I mean, actually, Bruce Springsteen's another one. He has long COVID. Well, anyway, there's just, it is just.
Yeah, but back to the Brownstone real quick. You know, because you brought up, I don't know, climate or whatever. But who funds them, which was revealing with Walter Bragman's article.
Right.
It's the exact same people pushing all the right-wing propaganda about anti-climate change. Climate change isn't real. Big Tobacco is one of the biggest funders. Big Tobacco is funding this anti-COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Climate change. There was another big group. I forget. I don't want to read all that stuff in the graphic. But,
but yeah, I mean, it is basically a way of destroying trust in institutions by creating chaos. A lot of, you know, another common thread with all of these people is they're really into charter schools, very much anti-teacher unions. You know, it is a way to destroy kind of like public institutions.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Like how do we keep people going to work? It's you know,
you do you.
Yeah, when it comes to the charter schools, it's because they got money from charter schools, so they're going to push this narrative. Like whoever gives them money, they're going to push the narrative. But who's always going to give them money? All the corporate capitalists that want you to work and die without health care, protections, just work as much as you can, you know?
Yep.
Child labor, 50-hour work weeks, you know?
God, and they just keep making new laws state by state. Peter Thiel is definitely behind some of that, I think. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what else do we have on COVID?
This is a study that's interesting. This is actually a big study, unlike this little peer thing where you sign a form online.
Increased
Oh, go ahead and read it if you want.
Increased infection risks after COVID-19 infections, dramatically higher risk of other infections after COVID infections, consistent with many studies showing, immune system deterioration. Every time you get COVID, you are dysregulating your immune system.
And so look, the numbers show this multiplier effect.
Good luck, everybody. Can you read that? That's a good graphic.
But the one they were talking about is 4 times viral infections from people post-COVID. But on the bottom there, how do you pronounce that word, Lila? You corrected me.
Oh, the sequelae. Sequelae of infectious disease conditions. So basically like the fallout,
14 times as much of those, whatever that means, conditions right there.
Yeah.
But this is the point of like, hey, just because you survived COVID doesn't mean we should all give it to people. On average, people are getting it 3 times a year.
And kids are getting it over and over.
Often, Right.
You know, and then it's RSV, and then it's measles, and then it's a stomach bug, and then it's just, you know, everybody just says it's just allergies.
But on that level alone, you know, COVID and the flu aren't the same in that people don't get the flu 1.4 times a year.
No,
people get the flu 3 times as less often as COVID.
Yeah, and it doesn't have these lasting effects. I mean, yes, some people, unfortunately, it's horrible. Some people do die because of the flu, but most people don't. And then once it's gone, once you recover, it's gone. And this, so, you know, now that I have my readers on, respiratory infections in children are multiplied 1.4 times, or is it 140? Yeah, that's really small.
It's just 1.4.
1.4. Oh. I was hoping it was 140. But that would have really made my point.
These are all significant numbers.
Yeah.
Like it is the, you know, when they connect this eventually to cancer rates, it's going to be, it's going to be such a crime that we let this go.
Yeah. I'm pretty sad for my kids and their friends and all of our kids because, you know, it's going to be a lifetime of having to deal with this. And, you know, I don't, who knows if we'll ever have a cure or remedies or actual healthcare system. Because at this point, the healthcare system is collapsing in one country after another. I mean, we are certainly one of the worst in the developed nations, but yeah.
There is some good news. I just want to put this out there. There is proof that you're getting some protection from the vaccine.
Right.
From some of the effects of long COVID.
Vaccination.
It's not preventing long COVID, but the data does show it helps a lot of people. So.
Yeah, we just, I forced my older son on his, this is, you know, it's his spring break and they're, you know, game after game, double headers, triple headers. But I found, a CVS that had Novavax and forced him to get his booster shot of Novavax.
Excellent.
Which is supposed to have the best efficacy for the longest. This was fun, and this is not, you know, so far there's been no real study, no definite correlation, but I just thought it was fun because Jaws is my all-time favorite movie. Dr. Sean Mullen writes, "What have I learned this morning? People who watch Jaws too early in life may have a heightened awareness of COVID. Who would have thought it'd prepare us for a real invisible predator?" I saw it when I was 8. So
the strange thing about that is I went to Universal Studios when I was a little kid, and they have a ride there where you're on a fake boat. It's a train going across the water, and Jaws they put the music on, dun 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 dun, you know, whatever it is, and then the whole boat tips over, and I almost fell in the boat in the water, and I wasn't really scared of the shark per se. I was just like I almost went in the water.
Yeah.
But so that, you know. Hey, here I am still like believing in COVID like a crazy person. So maybe there's some correlation to that story.
There might be. Although, of course, I told my son who had, you know, he's a psych major and he had just done this stats class. And he was like, you know, that maybe it's just like people who watch that movie who are all boomers like you. I'm like, I'm not a boomer, but, you know, like it could just be any movie that came out in 75 or 77. I can't remember, but whatever.
And in the COVID deniers' defense, I might not be that smart. Because at that same Universal Studios trip I went on, we had the chance to see the Blues Brothers perform live, and I was like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
So I could have seen the Blues Brothers, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd as Blues Brothers singing blues, which I came to love, and I talked my family out of it. So,
why would they listen to you?
Yeah.
All right. Are we done with COVID? I mean, we're not done with COVID, but are we done with what we have
this
to say?
Is the post-COVID show.
COVID's over. Congratulations. Mission accomplished. Oh, wait. I just want to say one thing that we haven't talked about. Biden keeps blaming Trump for COVID.
Oh, it's such a
for 800,000 people dying. He says 1 million people died under that guy.
Well, you know, it might not actually be a failed strategy, but it's such a lie is the important
It's a lie. It's not failed because libs believe it.
They believe it. So strategically, it might make sense, but it's
a lie.
Yeah. Dr. Stephen Thrasher. It's only going to add voters at some point as this progresses because we were looking at 6-7 more months of COVID, 6-7 more months of the research coming out showing that
Yep.
Our whole administration has failed, and 6 and 7 more months of people getting long COVID and developing it. So he's a sinking ship for sure. Like, it's done. Yeah. Look at all those shots in marijuana.
I know, he's taking us all on his boat. All right, here we go.
Yeah, baby.
All right. I like that little lime wedge too. That's good, Pat.
I just reused it from our other graphic thing.
I didn't know that it was on the other graphic.
It's on one of the timeline cleanse things or something. I don't know.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good stuff. What else we got? We can spin this puppy again.
Are we spinning it again?
Yeah,
Let's
we
see.
have to.
Yeah, baby.
I got us. Here we go. Say what?
Right.
And since I didn't want to find a clip on Debbie Wasserman Schultz because that would be a little too on the nose for Jen. We thought about making her worst of the week too.
Yeah,
we're not here.
We'll have time, plenty of time, because
So here's I apologize in advance for all the trauma this is going to cause people.
Get ready.
This is the most election of our lifetime.
Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign with the man Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine in the membrane. Tim Kaine in the brain. Number 4.
Hillary makes each decision, looking at the world from a rarefied position. A public servant with tenacity, agility.
Mi gente, experience is not a liability. 5. Now we all know this is the time when the other side tries to fly low, we go high. We know that our Hillary's no quitter. We watch as her opponent sits and fiddles with his Twitter.
I heard my name. I just have to say, thanks for the endorsement, Bill. Took you long enough.
Oh, snap!
Sorry, Hillary. I was running on CP time.
That's not, I don't like jokes like that, Bill. That's not funny.
Cautious politician time. I've been there.
Are you ready to karaoke?
I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. You're gonna hear me
It's just confounding that
I'm so
Trump
sorry.
beat her. Yeah, that was. I forgot that you were wrapping that great CPT joke in there. Jesus,
And
she's just
if anyone
abomination.
doesn't remember the reason that was particularly offensive, first off, it was a largely black audience because it was Hamilton back in when Hillary had to win New York, and CP time is historically it means colored people time, and it's a slur meaning lazy people time. And so for her to have made that joke in front of that audience at that time when New York was critical just shows how much this whole thing was cooked and baked in. They knew they were going to win New York, and she would not have done that joke. Like, that didn't win anyone over. It was just
it's like rubbing it in people's faces. You know, she had kicked out Black Lives Matter protesters. Remember?
And it failed at the show too. If you listen to the whole clip, it's like they didn't get booed, but it was just like there was nobody enjoyed the punchline. Nobody enjoyed the joke. It was incredibly
absolute cringe fest that she thinks because she had slave labor at the governor's mansion in Arkansas and because she keeps Tabasco sauce, hot sauce in her purse. All right, we are moving on. I don't know if that was like exactly the uplifting clip, but it was just let's do a little different. All right. Oh yeah, the economy. Look at us plugging along. The economy. Well, Surprise, surprise, the US is no longer one of the 20th happiest countries. If you're young, you probably know why. In a gaping disparity, Americans over 60 are some of the world's happiest, while those under 30 are among the most miserable in the developed world. I mean, that is a real condemnation of our capitalist system.
Yeah, we always hear we're the wealthiest country on earth. We're actually not, but I mean,
we have the most concentrated wealth.
Yeah, but for us to be off the top 20 list is pretty fucking damning.
Like Pat, you can't even name 20 countries.
Oh, is this a test? We should have a show where we just challenge each other.
It should just be a map that that's not
Is this
labeled.
just because I couldn't pronounce sequelae or
sequelae? No, I'm just using you.
Northern California pronounces it differently. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard that.
Hella differently.
What'd you say?
I said hella differently.
Hella differently.
We all say hella. You guys actually all say hella, I think.
What, young people?
Right. Anyway.
We young people.
Young
okay, nearly 50% of U.S. parents financially supporting adult children, the study finds. I'm not supported, but I can attest to the fact that both Josh and I have had to borrow from our parents several different times over the past several years. I don't know anybody who owns a house who doesn't have his or her own show or movie career, or who wasn't helped by parents for a down payment. Like, how do you come up with a down payment now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm in Sacramento. Like I said, I'm an electrician. I've told people that, but I'm in all these people's homes, and I'm in a lot of new homes bought by people.
Yeah.
And when it's young people, they have money already. It's hardly a like, hey, these people look like they just got their new job.
Yeah.
And they're buying, I want to say it, they're buying like $350,000 to $400,000 homes that are 50-year-old homes in bad neighborhoods. And when I say bad, it's not the people, obviously, but
but
less safe neighborhoods, less,
Yeah.
And that's their starter home. And fine if that's the case, but like that's unaffordable for most people. And we showed this earlier.
Yeah.
But nobody can afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment.
This is where I'd like you to go through and just name all the states.
I see California. Next to us is Arizona.
I see Florida and Texas, Alaska,
next
Hawaii.
to us is Nevada, actually.
I'm going to call out a bunch really fast before you get there. We have a real problem. And yeah, I mean, it's such a strange issue, because we know that we have like thousands of homes that are empty when we have 600,000 people living on the street. But those homes, a lot of them were, built by developers. They're those like McMansions. They're not going to put a single person in a 5-bedroom house or whatever. So we don't have enough affordable housing. But then what happens is, those people, those developers get to claim bankruptcy, get bailed out, and they're going to be fine. And we still don't have enough homes for people to live.
And the biggest gap is in low-income housing.
Right.
So this was an article put out recently. Extremely low-income renters make up the majority of severely cost-burdened renters. And so obviously this is why so many people are on the verge of homelessness, which is why homelessness has gone up so much, because the people most affected are the poorer people just looking for a cheap place to rent. There aren't cheap places to rent.
Yeah.
And so the study goes on to show, and if you look at this, it's rental homes affordable and available per 100 of extremely low-income renter households by state. So in California, for example, if you have 100 people low-income 100 low-income renters, there are only 24 places available for those 100 people.
Yeah. That are affordable.
What is the solution for these people? There is none right now. That's 76 out of 76 out of 100 people in that income bracket don't have a place.
That they can afford to live.
For a place to live. So they're couch surfing. They're trying to get by in their car or trailer. They're looking for some solution, but they're on the verge of at least temporary homelessness, which would lead to other things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to feel this is in all part of a grand scheme, right? Like the more that we read about the cop cities, which I know we're about to show, but like cop cities spiking up everywhere, the homelessness situation, the criminalization of homelessness. So more money for cops, more money for prisons. And then we learn that huge US companies like, cereal companies use prison labor. So we are making, it's like the new slaves. I mean, that's what we're doing, right?
And the whole system is that cereal company also invests in real estate. So
right.
They're benefiting from the cheap labor that's forced into this position. They're forcing people to not be able to buy a home. So they just got us by the whatever. So
yeah,
it's a game that they're controlling to a T, that
and both sides are doing it.
Poor or minority of wealth is paying the price too. But also, it's also a glaring example of why we can't wait for politicians,
right?
Because California has just gotten exponentially worse, and we have this alleged hero, Gavin Newsom, as our governor, and it's all gotten way worse. And every time they give the city $20 million to do a homeless project, they do something like they take a parking lot that already exists and say, oh, we're going to put some water things on it and let people put tents there. And it's like $20 million.
Yeah.
And it takes them 3 years to do it. So we can't wait for them to solve these problems.
We really can't. Yeah. I mean, it just has to be mass direct action. That same energy, but I don't know. I don't want to end on a hopeless note, but boy, it's really hard to see how we get our way out of this. And it certainly isn't by voting. We also have groceries, the surge in grocery prices. Every single necessity is skyrocketing in cost, and people's wages are not keeping up with that. And when they say, oh, wages are surpassing inflation, they're talking about the rate of change, not that you can actually afford those things. They really have a way, it's a little insidious the way they word things, because the truth is people are still priced out of homes, groceries, college. I mean, yeah. Okay. Next. What's our next thing?
Are we still on the economy? Are we going to stay with the economy here?
I mean, it's 6:57, Pat. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if you want to call this good news. Let's just call this news. This is news.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you think's going on there? Actually, Mitch McConnell's billionaire sister-in-law, Angela Chow, made panicked last call before dying in completely submerged Tesla on Texas ranch. This was
I'm just going to float that it's a murder involving Elon Musk.
Well, wait, wasn't there something with Elaine Chao, and that's Mitch McConnell's wife, and like one of the cargo ships that she did business with had like cocaine on it? This was a few years ago, but like, listen, nobody gets to be a billionaire without making a lot
of cocaine
of enemies. Yeah. God, Josh was just supposed to meet a friend of his who's a director the other day, and the guy called and said he couldn't meet him because his Tesla like blew up on fire on the way home while he was driving it. Tesla.
And apparently when they, like, you can't put out those fires. The policemen and fire departments, when they come to these crash scenes, it's so violent of a fire that it's just gone. They clear out a large area around it. So, I mean, look, I don't want to be anti-electric cars because I think, we have to do whatever we can with the climate, but there's also a lot
cars,
of like, what do we do with the batteries? What are,
yeah.
There's so many unknowns, and the grid is not ready. Like, I literally install electric car chargers for people, and we don't have the means to support it.
And even just like the rubber tires, like that is destroying the environment, and they still use those. So yeah, electric cars are not the answer. And certainly Elon Musk should not be getting any government subsidies for anything anymore. Thank you, Cora. That's so nice. Punch Up membership. I love it. Thank you.
What is she drinking, by the way? Put that comment up. I'm just curious.
Oh wait.
What are you drinking tonight? We didn't even ask. We skipped
I know.
that banner,
Yeah. What are you drinking there?
Well, that looks like that's vodka.
Yeah, I'm having vodka diet tonic.
Slap and tickle. It's just
it's
the
still
cheapest.
A Schneider.
It's the cheapest microbrewer available within 2 blocks of me.
Feels like a high school joke, a high school prom joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did not do much of a deep dive into October 7th, but boy, I think they're not going to let people investigate. But Al Jazeera just came out with a documentary, and I just flagged it for myself because it really is good. It goes into a lot of what happened on that day. The whole Hannibal directive, the idea, like so many of these cars that were totally burned out from above. That was, yeah,
for sure.
All right. Where are we?
I mean, I think we could wrap it up. We hit our 2-hour mark. We had Jen on.
Yeah.
I did some misogyny. We covered Israel, COVID, and a little on the economy.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much, the third party fight that Dems are about to bring to tear down all of these insurgent candidates. We'll have to deal with that a little bit more next week, although we're going to figure out our schedule. So just remember, Tuesday night, we will have Dr. Jill Stein on 5 p.m.
Tuesday at 5.
PM.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we'll talk about our next show. Yeah.
Oh, on the show tip. What? I sound like some media guy or something. On the show tip. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to get into, since we're doing 2 shows a week starting soon, we won't be like leaving stuff on the table we wanted to talk about as much.
We'll be able to get
we're kind of both excited about that. We won't have to talk about COVID every week, maybe every other week.
Or at least every episode,
So I think that's going to be a good thing for how the show goes.
Yeah, because we do all this research, we have all these materials, and then it's like, oh my God, we can't get to all of it. But yeah,
we literally have 100 slides of material, and it's like, what do we talk about? We kind of just want to go where the conversation leads us, but then it's like, we can't talk about everything. So anyway, I appreciate everybody who's followed us, supported us, and thank you so much. We couldn't have the second show without you.
Yeah, we're really excited. It will start in about a week and a half. We're thrilled that we're getting some really impressive and inspirational candidates on. We need more of them in this country because other countries are putting us to shame with their outspoken representatives. So we're going to leave you with one good thing. We love and adore you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Keep punching up, and we'll see you Tuesday.
Cheers. And we need more of this woman in our life in the U.S.
Every chance you get.
Despite the catastrophic death toll it has inflicted, Israel is losing on the ground and in the court of public opinion. There's no way that this ends that doesn't leave Israel a pariah state with occupation and apartheid on borrowed time, and they know it. So they're doing everything they can. Desperate acts of aggression to provoke a wider conflict with Lebanon, with Iran, with anybody, to draw in the US, to save them from the consequences of their own actions. And as Yemen shows, Butcher Biden is reporting for duty. With Europe's proud genocide by his side, they are the ones who have enabled the continuation of Israeli terror. Without them, it would already be over. So take note, Butcher Biden. The ancestors of the Ireland that you claim to be from disown you. Keep our country out of your mouth. And as for von der Leyen and genocidal Germany, with your words and deeds supporting Israel in the ICJ, not in our name. The people of Europe stand with Palestine and with South Africa.